And just as the two are battling fiercely, on the outskirts of the outside world LT City, two figures are leisurely standing on a high place, overlooking the entire LT City. At this moment, Ace of Spades said, "The people from the Investigation Bureau headquarters are on their way to LT City. Go stop them." King of Spades nodded and said, "It's okay to delay them for a moment. I just don't know who the person sent by the Investigation Bureau headquarters is. If it's one of those few people, I won't be able to stop them." Ace of Spades coldly said, "Headquarters is currently preoccupied, and the internal factions are in constant conflict. Those top combatants won't easily leave headquarters. If that's the case, then I have no issues. It's just that people from LT City are constantly fleeing. Nightmare is getting less and less fear. In this situation, how can we test Joseph's capabilities?" Ace of Spades sneered and said casually, "I will make a move to block off the entire LT City. No one will be able to escape." The King of Spades seemed somewhat surprised. "Are you not afraid that Joseph will die in LT City if you do this?" The director never mentioned killing Joseph. Joseph is someone the director values. If he dies so easily, it means the director has misjudged him. When that happens, I will accept the director's gifts in Joseph's place. Are you crazy? Do you want to disobey the director's orders? I have no intention of disobeying the director's orders. I just want to see if Joseph is qualified to accept the director's gift. Why is he the one chosen by the director? What does he have? Isn't it just luck? King of Spades shook his head, saying that he has already advanced to the third stage awakening. Now his ability is not luck, but destiny. Ace of Spades made a move at once. The entire LT City was surrounded and blocked by endless shadows. In Light Club, Hugh and Noel have reached a white-hot stage in their battle. The entire corridor is already in ruins. There are bloodstains and silver hair everywhere. At this moment, Hugh's right eye has already turned into the blood eye state. He attempts to launch a sneak attack on Noel using the blood eye. Noel, the chief of the Light Club, certainly lives up to his title, as he is fearless in the face of the blood eye's attack. He is completely shrouded in blood, even his eyes are obscured. The situation has reached a stalemate. Until Noel's blood is almost exhausted, Hugh has no way to defeat him. They can only rely on depletion to prevail. Noel is consuming blood. He knows that if they continue like this, he will undoubtedly lose. He then said, "Hugh, there's no point in continuing this stalemate. It's better to stop here." Hugh ignored him. He chose to continue attacking. "Why do you have to fight to the death with my spirit coin and mystic artifact?" Hugh said directly. "What do you mean? Your spirit coin and mystic artifact? Clearly, they are mine." Noel was so angry that he almost spat blood at these words. "You're talking nonsense. Let's forget about the spirit coin. But on the base of the bronze candle holder, my name is clearly engraved." Hugh directly asked, "So why did you engrave your name on my mystic artifact?" "The mysterious realm is descending, and the entire city will be in crisis. You took my spirit coin and mystic artifact to gain an advantage. Why do we have to fight to the death?" Hugh calmly said something. "Your spirit coin, mystic artifact clearly belongs to me." Noel cursed directly. "But on the base of the bronze candle holder, my name is clearly engraved. Why did you carve your name on my mystic artifact?" Noel exploded with anger. He had never seen such shameless person before. Although Noel was angry, he did not lose his rationality. Because if this went on, his blood would dry up. He suppressed his anger and said, "Hugh, do you have any grievances with Club? Clearly, you were the one who killed my man first. We didn't come looking for trouble with you. Yet you come to us and act unreasonably." Hugh calmly said, "Your cousin was also killed by a hitman I hired. And I'm trying to prevent you from seeking revenge on me. That's why I have to take you all out." Upon hearing this, Noel felt that Hugh's words were ridiculous. "Hugh, do you even know what you're talking about? You're distorted. If you make a sound, I have spirit incense." Upon hearing the two words, spirit incense, Hugh suddenly remembered the scene where he was contaminated by spirit incense, affecting his spirituality. He became even more ruthless in his actions. Just at that moment, the illusory bizarreness that roamed the building suddenly vanished into thin air. Noel was shocked and exclaimed, "This is the mysterious realm!" As a second-stage spirit master, his perception is much sharper than Hugh's. At this moment, Hugh sensed a familiar strangeness in the air. It was the aura of the nightmare. How did they enter the nightmare's dream realm? Could it be that the nightmare has become powerful enough to influence reality? At this moment, Noel anxiously said, "Hugh, the fact that he quietly pulled us in represents the immense power of this strangeness. Now is not the time for us to fight. Let's just stop here." However, the only response to him was Hugh's silver hair attack. Noel blocked the attack, looking grim. "Hugh, don't be so stubborn. Must we risk our lives in this crisis?" In the dim corridor, footsteps suddenly approached. A bizarre sight emerged. A 3-meter-tall, 2.5-meter-wide, 500-pound fatty. Noel's face drastically changed. He hurriedly said, "Hugh, a bizarre creature has appeared. Whatever grievances exist between us, we'd better join forces to deal with this bizarre threat." Hugh calmly said, "Indeed, we should join forces. However, it is me who will join forces with the bizarreness." Only Hugh's silver hair directly wrapped around himself. The human aura was completely isolated inside. The exposed aura was that of the hair race bizarreness aura. Noel, helpless, could only attack the bizarreness. He directly threw a punch, striking towards the bizarreness's chest. With one punch, the flesh and blood of the bizarreness's chest was directly blasted open with a big hole. Noel's face lit up with joy at the sight. He knew he had bet right this bizarreness was not strong. However, he didn't stay happy for long. Those flesh and blood bizarreness creatures began to regenerate. Before long, they filled the entire hallway. He punched at the bizarreness once again. However, this time a shocking change occurred. The bizarreness exploded like a bomb. After receiving this punch, some kind of chemical reaction seemed to have taken place inside the body. It burst open directly. Suddenly, the whole corridor was filled with blood and flesh and blood. Noel didn't have time to think too much either. Seeing that the obstacles in front of him were gone, he just wanted to escape. However, at that moment, those scattered flesh and blood unexpectedly formed a wall. Countless tentacles suddenly grew out and fiercely attacked Noel. Hugh was not subjected to a direct attack, but he was corroded by a significant amount of silver hair. Not long after, Noel's entire body of blood was sucked dry and died. At this moment, Hugh made his move. Silver hair directly stabbed into Noel's heart, absorbing all of his spirituality. After Hugh finished absorbing it, he directly used the power of pain. He pulled out the scalpel and stabbed towards the flesh and blood. Immediately, those flesh and blood disappeared without a trace. The corridor returned to its original state. After solving the light club, Hugh felt slightly relieved. He also had a few less enemies. After Hair Race swallowed Noel and other spirituality, Hugh felt that his hair would eventually become level S bizarre. This man was originally a member of the Investigation Bureau. Now he is actually killing his own people. Just now, Hugh received a call from his assistant, Olive. The phone was connected. Olive's soft and anxious voice came directly. "Are you okay? If you are, Jose wants all the investigators to come to headquarters right away." LT City has changed. Nightmares are suspected to have evolved into a mysterious realm that can influence reality. Hugh calmly replied, "Understood," and then hung up the phone. The Investigation Bureau called. Hugh was not surprised. Such a big event happened, the Investigation Bureau would definitely take action. However, Hugh did not easily believe the contents of the phone call, because he had encountered a similar situation in the nightmare's dream. Everything in the dream could be false. Shortly after, Hugh left the light club, and the moment he stepped into the street, he was shocked to discover that the entire LT City was inexplicably shrouded in darkness. The shadow acted like a cage, enclosing the entire LT city. The moon in the sky is no longer visible. In its place, there are a pair of immense, blood-red eyes. Those are the eyes of Nightmare. Hugh walked calmly. Suddenly, at the end of the street in his sight, an old-fashioned rocking cart appeared. It swayed back and forth. On the cart, a cheerful nursery rhyme sung by a child kept playing. The scene was very eerie. As Hugh continued walking, unexpectedly, an amusement park appeared before his eyes. However, the scene seemed somewhat surreal. Hugh speculated that this must be Nightmare's mysterious realm gradually being invaded by dreams into reality. Hugh walked straight through the amusement park, paying no attention to the abnormalities around him, heading directly to the investigation bureau. At some point, Hugh noticed a girl in a white dress giggling incessantly and continuously inviting Hugh to play. Hugh stopped in his tracks and calmly gazed at the innocent and naive girl. The next second, he directly controlled Silver Hair to tie up the flying dagger and shot it straight out. It pierced through the girl's body, just like piercing through a mass of air. After Hugh withdrew the knife, he looked at the girl and said, "When you fully come to this world, Uncle will play with you properly." Later, Hugh arrived at the investigation bureau. Olive was anxiously waiting at the entrance. Upon seeing Hugh's arrival, she immediately said, "Investigator, you're finally here. Please go to the conference room. Jose and the others are all waiting for you there." Hugh calmly looked at her and said, "Come with me for a moment." Olive stood against the wall. She looked up at Hugh somewhat bewildered, unsure of what he wanted to do. Just as she was confused, Hugh approached closer. His eyes stared at her intently. She retreated in a bit of panic. As a result, her smaller body pressed directly against the wall. She had nowhere to retreat. "Investigator, do you need anything? Jose is still waiting for you." She felt nervous because Hugh now looked like he was going to do something to her. Hugh calmly said, "Lift your head up." The next second, Hugh grabbed the scalpel and struck directly. Blood splattered everywhere. Olive died. Hugh, holding the scalpel, murmured, "Is this a real person? Not a dream, right? Not enough information. Need to probe further." Hugh entered the meeting room directly. He saw everyone sitting in the meeting room. Joseph walked over and said, "Hugh, you finally made it. Where were you earlier? Why are you so late?" Hugh looked at the spirituality lie detector on the table and said, "I was delayed on the way here. Also, what does this mean?" Joseph directly said to Hugh, "You have experienced the dreams of Nightmare. You should be very clear. Anything in a dream could be false." Hugh said very reasonably, "But I have a better way." Hugh picked up the scalpel and stabbed directly towards Joseph's neck. Although Joseph usually appears nonchalant, he is a genuine third-stage spirit master. Joseph easily dodged the attack. Joseph questioned whether you were really Hugh. Hugh did not answer. Instead, he directly detonated the eerie power within Scalpel. Instantly, his hair turned silver, and his right eye transformed into a crimson blood eye. He directly attacked Jose. Joseph immediately stepped in to protect Jose. Hugh directly used Blood Eye to attack Joseph. However, there was a significant difference in spirituality between the two sides. Joseph recovered in a moment. Joseph was angry. He directly used the mystic artifact, Embroidered Shoes. Hugh didn't expect it either. This Joseph's enchanting mystic artifact turned out to be embroidered shoes. In an instant, Joseph appeared directly in front of Hugh. Just as Joseph was about to make a move, Hugh raised the scalpel and stabbed it into his own forehead. He committed suicide. This is a pen with a bizarre and terrifying aura. Only a spirit master can summon the pen spirit from within it. Just now, Hugh attacked the people from the investigation bureau. He wanted to know if he was in a nightmare dream. When Joseph attacked, Hugh committed suicide without hesitation. Hugh was reborn and came to the investigation bureau again. Olive saw Hugh and said anxiously, "You're finally here. Quickly go to the meeting room. Jose and the others are waiting for you there." Hugh calmly agreed and there was no trace of emotion in his expression. It was as if he had just killed Olive. This was not his usual self. This time, he walked straight to the meeting room without killing Olive. Because he has already figured it out. The people from the Investigation Bureau are not Nightmare in disguise. This place should be real. In the Investigation Bureau conference room. It's the same as before. Have Hugh test the spirituality lie detector. This time, Hugh did not refuse. He calmly accepted the test. After passing the test, Jose officially held the meeting. Everyone, you are currently the largest manpower that can be mobilized in the Bureau. The Spirit Masters, who cannot come, are probably already trapped in the dream world. Vice Captain Bruce is the same. You are the last hope of LT City. At this time, someone said, Jose, there's no need for these empty words. If it weren't for LT City being blocked by shadows and Nightmare trying to pull everyone into dreams, I would have left a long time ago. Now that I can't escape, I can only fight with all I have. Just tell me the strategy directly. Jose said directly. Now, Nightmare's mysterious realm has already invaded. The entire LT City is currently shrouded by it. If this situation continues to develop, once LT City falls, the surrounding cities will also face complete destruction. Now, the level of Nightmare has been redefined. Due to its terrifying growth potential and wide-reaching impact, Nightmare's level is designated as S level. Upon hearing this, the crowd turned serious, as if a huge pressure was spreading throughout the meeting room. Someone said anxiously, What about the Level S incident? It's even difficult to handle at headquarters. Can just a few of us really handle it? Where are the people from headquarters? Didn't we ask for their help? Why haven't they arrived? Jose said solemnly, The people from headquarters encountered an attack by unknown individuals on the way. They are currently unable to arrive for the time being. What the hell is going on? Why were the people from headquarters intercepted? At this point, Joseph said it was Ace of Spades. I have fought him before. I know his ability is Shadow Street Lockdown. He intercepted the people from headquarters. It has been found that behind Spades is an organization called Playing Cards. None of them are weak individuals. After listening, everyone's faces look even worse. Facing Nightmare was already desperate enough, and now there is another organization, Playing Cards, hiding in the dark. How can we continue to fight this? Even some Spirit Masters are starting to wonder, why is the threshold for joining the bizarreness so high? Why are the racial restrictions so rigid? At this point, Jose mentioned that Nightmare does not have an entity in reality, but now his bizarreness covers the entire LT City. This is equivalent to all of us entering a dream. Only in a dream can harm come to a dream. This is our chance. As long as we find Nightmare's true form and defeat him, we will naturally be able to overcome the crisis. At this time, someone said, Jose, you make it sound so easy. Not to mention defeating Nightmare. Just finding Nightmare is difficult. The city is so big, and it's enveloped by his bizarreness. Where do we go to find Nightmare? Jose was not angry, he just asked Joseph to go get something. When Joseph came back, there was an additional dark gold box. This is a box completely made by Heart of Steel. It has no seams on it. It appears to be welded shut. The next second, Joseph opened the box. Inside was a pen. Someone exclaimed, This is a mystic artifact. Jose said, Not bad. This pen was named Pen Spirit by the Investigation Bureau. By using this pen, as long as you pay a certain price, you can know the answer you want. Upon hearing this, Hugh's heart was moved. Paying a price to know the answer. Isn't this exactly what he needs? If this pen is really so magical, then he can completely use it to understand the truth of bizarreness. At this time, someone spoke up and said, Killian, are you implying that through the Pen Spirit, we can find out the whereabouts of Nightmare's true identity? Jose said, Yes, but the more important the question asked, the higher the price the Pen Spirit will demand. The cost is random and could be a finger, a pair of eyes, or even a heart. Upon hearing this, the crowd hesitated to use the Pen Spirit. At this time, someone suggested that it's simple. We can just bring a condemned prisoner over to ask. Isn't that okay? However, Jose shook his head and said, "Pen spirit. Only a spirit master can use it." The scene fell silent once again. Joseph looked at the silent crowd. He said, "Look at you bunch of cowards. No need for you to ask. I'll ask the questions." Jose showed a worried expression. "Jose, don't forget my ability is luck. If I were to ask, it might just cost me a hair." At this moment, Hugh spoke up and said, "I'll ask instead." Joseph said to Hugh, "What are you trying to steal my thunder? Such a great opportunity to shine. I can't let you have it." Jose worriedly said to Hugh, "Let Joseph do it. His ability is luck. Plus, this guy has a lot of trump cards. I'm not sure if Pen Spirit can kill him." However, Hugh calmly said, "Everything will be fine." Jose thought, could it be that Hugh saw the future? He knew that he would be fine. Then, he asked Hugh to summon the Pen Spirit. Hugh immediately began to summon the Pen Spirit. In an instant, Hugh felt a cold hand grip his hand. It was a woman's hand, very cold, like a corpse. And he couldn't see it in his line of sight, as if it were a ghost. Hugh directly asked the Pen Spirit, "What is the truth behind the bizarreness of this world?" When these words were spoken, Joseph's face changed dramatically. "Hugh, what are you asking? Are you crazy? You cannot afford the cost of such questions." Obviously, Pen Spirit couldn't answer. The price for Hugh was to explode in place. Nightmare is everyone's nightmare. However, this man is Nightmare's nightmare. After all, this man once did unspeakable things to Nightmare. Just now, Hugh asked what the truth is behind the bizarreness of the Pen Spirit world. However, Pen Spirit also couldn't provide an answer. Hugh then exploded on the spot. Hugh asked countless questions during that time. However, the Pen Spirit couldn't provide any answers. Hugh also remained in a state of death. Hugh, who has died countless times, has already figured it out. The Pen Spirit is so terrifying that it simply cannot answer those secrets. Or rather, it dares not answer. Forcing questions upon the Pen Spirit will result in it falling into madness. It will die on its own as well. This also indirectly indicates that the questions he asked were too profound. Currently, there is no way to grasp them at all. At this time, Hugh asked the Pen Spirit, "Where can we find the true form of Nightmare?" The Pen Spirit quickly wrote down, "Temple," on the white paper. Joseph saw this and cursed the Pen Spirit, mentioning dozens of temples throughout LT City. Who knows which one it was talking about? Hugh frowned slightly. He didn't expect that. This Pen Spirit turned out to be a damn Riddler. Hugh found his organs turning into nothingness. This was the price of the Pen Spirit. Hugh, who rolled back once more, asked directly which temple, and this time finally got the most accurate answer, Putua Temple. And the cost this time was that his head disappeared. This time, Hugh was reborn as Joseph. He actively used Pen Spirit. Hugh directly said, "No need to ask. The true form of Nightmare is in Putua Temple." Joseph paused. "How did you know that Nightmare is in Putua Temple?" Hugh calmly said, "Don't forget. My ability is perception, and I have already sensed it." Upon hearing this, Joseph secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Even though his ability is luck, and he had many trump cards to rely on, no one wanted to bet their life on the Pen Spirit. At this moment, Jose said, "Since you have already perceived it, Joseph, you don't need to ask any more." Those who did not know Hugh felt incredulous. Someone asked, "Jose, do you know how far Putua Temple is from here?" He, a first-stage spirit master, suddenly perceived a nightmare. Jose said in a deep voice, "Hugh is a special perception-type spirit master. His perception is different from the traditional sense. Since he perceived it, it must be true." Just as the spirit master was about to say something, Joseph interrupted directly. "What you need to do now is not to question, but to unconditionally believe in the Investigation Bureau and trust Hugh. We are not joking around with our lives or yours." Continuing, Joseph said, "Since you have perceived the nightmare, and its true form is at Putua Temple, what should our next course of action be?" Hugh said first, "Everyone, please report your abilities. I want to understand the roles each of you can play." Everyone present fell into silence. They were all reluctant to expose their abilities. Hugh said lightly, "Based on your abilities, is there a need to hide your abilities?" At this time, an irritable older brother cursed and said, "What did you say? What are you? Just a mere support class." He didn't finish his sentence. Hugh's right eye, with its distinct black and white colors, instantly transformed into Blood Eye. The irritable old man let out a scream and fell to the ground. At this point, Hugh said directly that now is the time to show his own abilities in facing the nightmare. Some dead weight will only hold him back, and can only serve as nourishment for him. They are not suitable for participating in the upcoming actions. Some spirit masters with relatively weak abilities dare to be angry, but dare not speak out. Those with strength do not dare to make trouble because Joseph is present. At this moment, a red-haired man said, "My ability is singing. My singing voice can influence others' emotions and even make them lose their rationality." Hugh nodded and said, "Next one." At this time, a slender man said, "My ability is stasis. I can immobilize people or things in a short period of time, or create bizarre effects." As everyone revealed their abilities one by one, Hugh had already formed a judgment in his mind. Immediately, Hugh asked the red-haired man from earlier to step forward. The red-haired man asked in confusion, "Are you referring to me?" Hugh nodded and said, "Exactly. Sing a song for us to listen to." The red-haired man suspected that Hugh was mocking him. He felt helpless as he was no match for him. "What song would you like to hear?" Hugh directly said that good luck is on its way. A spirit master directly questioned Hugh. "What are you up to? It's a matter of life and death right now. How can you still have the mood to listen to music?" Hugh simply replied, "It's beyond your comprehension. It's hard for me to explain to you." That spirit master was about to make a move. When he saw Joseph, he backed down instantly. At that moment, the red-haired man took out a microphone and started singing. Everyone who heard the sound had a look on their faces, as if they had eaten shit. The key point is that the red-haired man is extremely intoxicated, very engaged. At this point, Hugh interrupted and said, "Stop singing." Hugh looked directly at Dennis and asked, "How do you feel?" Dennis was taken aback. He didn't expect Hugh to cue him. "It's too harsh. I feel like even my farts sound better than him." The red-haired man instantly looked dark and said, "Do you even understand music?" Hugh then said, "I'm not talking about the singing. It's about whether fear decreases after listening to his songs." Dennis said, "Hugh, the way you put it, it seems like I'm really not afraid anymore. When I was listening to the songs just now, my mind was full of those unpleasant voices. I almost forgot about the nightmare for a while." Hugh nodded and said, "Very good. It seems that the key to this operation lies with him." The red-haired man never thought that he would become the center of attention. Clearly, his own ability is the weakest. Hugh then instructed Joseph to take the red-haired man to the broadcasting station. Start the citywide broadcast. Sing to dilute the fear in the city and weaken the power of the nightmare. Joseph's eyes lit up as he took charge of this matter. "Once I have sorted this out, I will immediately go to Putua Temple to meet up with you. Completely resolve the nightmare. LT City does not allow such bizarreness to exist." Then Hugh instructed Joseph to put on embroidered shoes and run at full speed. The longer the delay, the stronger the power of nightmare will become. Seize the opportunity to weaken the power of nightmare before the entire city is completely submerged. Joseph said with an unpleasant expression, "How did you know I have embroidered shoes?" Hugh said lightly, "I perceived it. Remember, you must put on the embroidered shoes as soon as possible. If you find it embarrassing, you can wear them after leaving the investigation bureau." Joseph immediately felt that he had given Hugh another handle. Jose immediately instructed, "I authorize Hugh as the temporary team leader with decision-making power. Jose asked Hugh again. Have you perceived Bruce's whereabouts? Hugh shook his head and said no. However, I speculate that if Bruce is not dead, he is most likely at Putua Temple. His ordinary bizarreness would not be able to confine him. Therefore, it is only possible that Nightmare intervened personally. Immediately, Hugh asked Dennis, Fatty, Sarah, and Layla to follow him in a car. At such a crucial moment, no one opposed the decision. Soon, everyone got into the car and headed towards the outside world. At this moment, LT's city looks completely different. Thick fog is rising. All roads and buildings are shrouded in thick mist. Only a faint outline can be seen, resembling a scene from a horror movie. At that moment, Dennis said, Hugh, I feel like I've been transported to a horror movie ice sky world. Do you think we can successfully resolve the nightmare event this time? Upon hearing this, Hugh replied, Whether we can resolve it or not depends on you. Dennis looked at me blankly. Hugh, stop joking around. Even if it's 11 o'clock, I still find it challenging. I can't defeat Nightmare. I couldn't even beat the level B Hair Wraith from last time, let alone level S Nightmare. Hugh said, I didn't ask you to do anything, just like what you did in the dream last time. Dennis blushed at the words. Come on, Hugh, it's not the time for jokes, he said. Hugh said, I'm not joking. Haven't you noticed? Nightmare has never pulled you into a dream. The reason you are in a dream now is that Nightmare's mysterious realm has enveloped the entire LT city. Otherwise, you might not have been pulled into a dream at all. If Nightmare is the nightmare of everyone, then you are the nightmare of Nightmare. Fatty beside you exclaimed upon hearing your words. When did you become so amazing? Dennis just smiled awkwardly without explaining. LT City is surprised to see numerous human head lanterns spread throughout the entire city. Just now, the crowd set out from the investigation bureau by car. Hugh said to Layla, Bring out the thing. Layla was taken aback and asked, What thing? Do you think changing your outfit makes me not recognize you, Layla? Layla pretended to be foolish and said, I don't understand what you're talking about. Is my hint not obvious enough? Killing a division of Layla. Upon hearing this, Layla said, How did you recognize me? You forgot that my ability is perception. Even though you've transformed into a slim figure, you can't hide it from my perception. Layla smiled and said, Your perception ability is so strong. No wonder both Jose and Joseph trust you so much. Hugh said, Since you admitted it, please hand over my bronze candle holder. Layla's face looked a bit unsightly. To be honest, she doesn't want to hand it over because in Nightmare's mysterious realm, the bronze candle holder is definitely a life-saving artifact. Handing over the bronze candle holder now means giving up hope for survival. But if she doesn't hand it over, she will be considered an enemy of Hugh. After some thought, Layla ultimately chose to hand over the bronze candle holder. Hugh directly handed the bronze candle holder to Fatty. Fatty saw the bronze candle holder and said, Make me bleed again. I haven't recovered from the last time. Can I switch to someone else? Hugh ignored it. He said to Layla, If I'm not mistaken, your ability should not be strength either. Layla said somewhat numbly, You're right. My ability is not strength. My ability is to control the power of the dragon and tiger on my body. Strength is just a byproduct they give me. Suddenly, countless wicked slaves rushed out onto the street, all transformed from deceased LT City citizens. At this moment, Hugh answered the phone. Another spirit master's voice came from the other end, asking what to do. Hugh simply said to charge ahead. He stepped on the gas fiercely and charged ahead. At this moment, Hugh ordered Sarah and Layla to take action. Sarah formed a bright flame ball in her hand and threw it towards Wicked Slave. Layla unleashed the power of Dragon and Tiger, charging towards the group of wicked slaves. Just a moment. Hugh and the others rushed out of the group of wicked slaves. At this moment, the order to stop the car was issued by Hugh. Although the crowd did not understand, they still stopped the car. And Hugh's words blew everyone's mind. Human head lantern will appear ahead momentarily, and their eyes will emit red light. Once illuminated by the red light, the head will immediately detach. Stick close to me if you don't want to die. Do not attack the human head lantern. Once you attack one, you will break the killing rule of the human head lantern. They will swarm in. The crowd was shocked and some even questioned. Are you sure this is a perception? If there really are the human head lantern ahead as you said, why don't we take a detour? Hugh calmly replied, It's no use. There are human head lanterns everywhere. The only way forward is to go through them. Of course, these are the results after Hugh died and rolled back multiple times. Everyone hesitated for a moment, but also chose to believe. Hugh walked about a few hundred meters. Suddenly, everyone noticed that lanterns were lit up ahead. Surprisingly, they were all transformed into human heads. At this moment, Hugh said, Everyone, move to the right. They saw him swiftly dart to the right side of the street. Dennis, Sarah, and the others did not hesitate at all. They followed closely behind. The others were first stunned when they saw the situation. Then they followed suit. Just as the crowd shifted their attention, the closest human head lantern swiftly turned its head. In his black and white distinct eyes, emitting a bizarre red light, as if two flashlights were shining on the ground, creating two rays of light, quickly sweeping towards the crowd's location. Not everyone reacted quickly. Two spirit masters were not quick enough to react and were shone upon by the red light. Immediately, their heads separated from their bodies and turned into two human head lanterns. At Hugh's command, everyone quickly ran. The crowd followed Hugh's footsteps in a frenzy, scrambling to keep up with him. Even in such a perilous scene, Hugh seemed to foresee it as if in advance. He managed to escape in the midst of danger before the encirclement of red light fully formed. While Hugh was moving swiftly, he said, The final wave is up ahead. Follow me closely, Fatty. Quickly light the bronze candle holder. Fatty, upon hearing this, hesitated not in the least. He directly cut his palm and lit the candle holder. And so everyone ran desperately under the green light. The eerie green light brought them an unparalleled sense of security. However, Fatty did not have this feeling. His face was pale, and he felt like his body had been emptied out. Relying on numerous deaths, Rollback Hugh had already figured out the most blood-saving route. Under the protection of the bronze candle holder, everyone is about to leave this terrifying lantern ocean. One woman in the team suddenly covered her chest. Her body involuntarily fell to the ground. She doesn't have a heart condition, but rather poor mental resilience, which led to her spirituality suddenly losing control. She watched as the light from the candlestick grew further and further away from her. She screamed in terror, Stop quickly! Save me! As the red light shone on her, a look of madness appeared on her face in despair. Since you won't save me, then let's die together. She raised her hand, about to use her ability to attack the human head lantern. The crowd's faces changed drastically in an instant. Hugh said, Under no circumstances should you attack the human head lantern. Just as everyone was feeling desperate, Hugh inserted a flying dagger into the woman's forehead. The woman's eyes instantly widened in anger. She fell straight to the ground. The crisis was also successfully resolved. Just as everyone was catching their breath, a woman stood up. She questioned Hugh, asking if he had stopped to save her just now. She wouldn't have resorted to such extreme behavior. This woman seems to be a friend of the deceased person. Facing the woman's questioning, Hugh seemed very calm. Why should I save a useless person like her? She's just adding nutrients to Nightmare, he said. As a silver light flashed by, the young woman was killed by Hugh. Hugh calmly retracted the scalpel amid the shocked gazes of the crowd. Indeed, at times like this, one must kill the saint first.